What is up, you heathens and demons? Welcome back to the Raging Atheist. I am here with Martha. You guys know her. You've seen her. She's been on the stream. Real quick, we're gonna talk about my drinking contest. We've just been talking about it. But first, I'm gonna address. I'm super tired. I've only had like 3 hours of sleep. Woke up at 1 o'clock. Could not go back to sleep. It really sucked. Like I couldn't even get really high and go back to sleep. I mean, it was that kind of fucking day for me. So, and I was only going to sleep till like 3 o'clock anyway. So I was only going to get 5 hours of sleep. I ended up only getting 3 hours of sleep. And yeah, it's been that kind of a day. So I just had opened my first beer. So hopefully this will give me a little bit of energy and we can talk about something that I really care about, which, my historical videos, which all of my views down on my videos throughout the week have been pretty low. So I'm not sure if it's just my historical videos, but Earl has never really been watched like the other videos. Everybody wants to see me talking shit at girls. It's what they all want to see. And it's like, I'm not going to just talk shit at girls all the time. Come on. All right. Yeah, the dislike was there. Like when I got, like, I actually posted this stuff yesterday. So this is like the first time that I've actually had it posted for everybody to see. And so I'm pretty sure Matt Powell came up in here and did that dislike, or maybe Guzman, one of them. But yeah, the drinking contest is tomorrow. So it might turn out to be a pretty big thing. It's going to be, I hope Will is very ready. And I hope Messenger still wants to be involved, that you guys are very ready to take lots and lots of shots. We're gonna get messy with this thing. If people aren't spilling their liquor on their desks or wherever they're sitting, then you're not doing it right. So yeah, tomorrow that's gonna be at 9 o'clock. Before that, we're gonna have a very interesting debate between Messenger Reveals, who's in the chat. What's up, Messenger Reveals?
Hi, John.
Between him and Atheist Rationale, who have had open hostility towards each other, and they're going to come on the channel tomorrow, and they are going to address that face to face, mano y mano. And I'm just going to kind of sit down back and relax and enjoy my first dumpster fire that I'm involved with, while I'm not involved with it at all. So it's gonna be a first for me. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that means I need to get lots of sleep tonight. So we're going to get into the conversation. And it's witchcraft. Ooh, oh my gosh.
Ooh, witchcraft.
Yeah, witchcraft. This is like my new passion. And anybody that's been watching the channel for a long time has, like, I have actually been set to start my witchcraft series like 3 or 4 different times over the past year. I started this research about a year ago, and now I'm extremely well versed. I know the characters. I have about 20 different characters at this point that I want to do individual stories on, where I'm remembering witches of our history. I have different movements that I'm going to be doing stories on, which Spanish Inquisition, the Scottish witch trials that happened as a direct result of Gillis Duncan's confession, and the wildfire that would just spread all over a whole entire country full of Catholics. It was insane. I want to incorporate the brutal mass extermination at some point of pagans throughout history by the Christian and Islamic traditions. And eventually I'm going to get into all of that. But right now we have a real witch here with us. What's up, Marty? Introduce yourself and, cast your spells on the audience.
I'm gonna cast a spell on everybody. No. So hi. I'm Marty. I've been on the channel a couple times. I don't have an actual channel. I have a D&D group, and we had a channel, but we made it private because we're not.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah. We didn't think that we're like at the level where we want people watching us play yet. Maybe campaign 2. But as of right now, it's not. It's set to private. But I have an idea for a channel, but I'm not going to say it out loud. Maybe I'll email you, Knock, and you tell me what you think. But because I don't want you to steal it.
Yeah, once you start a channel, you can promote it here all you want.
So yeah. So I have been practicing and studying witchcraft for let's see, since 2007. So yeah, it's about 2007, 2008. And it's a lot of people, especially living in the South, when I tell people that I'm pagan or I practice witchcraft, the first thing I get is, do you sacrifice animals and babies, and do you worship Satan? And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's the same for atheists. Like I get the question, so you eat brains of babies, right? And I'm like, seriously, I've gotten that question several times now, and I'm
seriously?
like,
People ask you that?
yeah, like, and I'm like, no, I don't.
What?
But like, what? Like, but I mean, it's been, people now are asking. I mean, I don't even really consider that the craziest question because now they like two out of my three debates on Modern Day Debate, I've been asked by Christians if I fuck animals. So yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it always goes to bestiality for some reason. And I'm like, is this the new thing now? Like, what the fuck?
Oh, well, I didn't see. I mean, God, I mean, I expect people to ask that kind of stuff to like me and pagans. I didn't think they would think that of
Oh yeah, no.
you.
Atheists are Satanists, so we obviously eat the brains of babies.
Well, so are witches. So how about that? We're in the same club, yay! Ugh. And living in Georgia just makes it just that much worse. When I was back home in Jersey, it wasn't that bad, but down here, forget about it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I am connected to a lot of people in North Carolina. I'll just put that out there. Bible Belt, North Carolina's crazy,
Yeah, it's. I mean, I've had people tell me that I've had people tell me that I'm going to hell for the simple fact that I'm not a Christian. Before I even get into the paganism and witchcraft thing, the simple fact that I'm not a Christian. Well, have fun burning in hell, bitch. Get out of here with that shit.
Oh, yeah, it's automatic for me. There's no redeeming me now. Like I gotta. I'm getting like reprobate comments almost every single day now, and I'm just accepting it. I think I'm gonna get a tattoo, a reprobate.
Reprobate.
Yeah, it's gonna be epic, and it's gonna be where everybody can see it.
Right on your forehead with like big devil.
Yeah, I usually joke around about like doing face tattoos or neck tattoos, but I don't think I could ever actually do those. But I'm gonna make sure, like with my fiction tattoo, I'm gonna show that shit off. I'm gonna be proud of my reprobate status from here on out.
Put it on this side of your arm, like right, like you have your fiction one here, and then put it on this one here. So
yeah, it'll be it's gonna be epic. Fuck them.
You should do like devil horns and like devil a tail or something, and like hellfire and shit. Like
yeah, it's gonna be great. But I also promised Non Sequitur show that I would top their biggest fans tattoo. So yeah, I'm gonna incorporate Non Sequitur show. Probably not. I'm just talking shit. I was joking on Twitter with them about it. Like I can top that shit.
I like the non-sex show. Is that a shirt? Is that a non-sex shirt?
Say what?
Your shirt, is that from the non-sex?
Oh, yeah, yep. It's my Illuminati shirt. I love this shirt.
I might need to get one. I don't have any merch.
Took like a fucking week and a half to get that motherfucker. I'm an impatient dude. I had the option to get it faster, and I didn't take that option. So
and then you're like, why am I waiting so long?
yeah. Messenger reveals like, Knock, I have a t-shirt idea for you. Maybe eventually we'll get there. I'm still trying to figure out how to do Patreon. I've been looking at it for like 2 weeks now, and I'm like, man, I'm stupid. I'm just stupid, and I probably am. I'm probably just being stupid, but I will figure it out. I will figure it out, but and I just don't have any time. Like my problem is time. Like I pretty much said, like next weekend is probably going to be like a shutdown weekend for me, to where I really take time off and readjust. Although I talking on Twitter, I think I might have Jackson Weed on next weekend. So if I do, then that'll be like the only thing I do. But then I'm going to get back hardcore into doing open discussions and all of that shit. I thought about doing an open discussion tonight, and then I didn't get very much sleep. And I just figured with this conversation, especially as knowledgeable as I am, and the fact that you're a pagan witch, but you don't claim to do anything supernatural, which some witches still do. I actually dated a couple Wiccans that believed in their spellcraft and all of that, and I just kind of sat on the couch, got really high, and laughed about it, but it was sexy in its own way back then. I was still kind of a closet, I wasn't all the way out as a full blown atheist. I think I was claiming agnosticism back then to people that I was really close with, and in my family, I was still like, yeah, I'm kind of a Christian still. Don't judge me, you know. So, but I think more and more witches are coming out and just claiming the title, but automatically, like, Christian society is going to, oh, you're a witch, you're using spellcraft, and then you automatically have to kind of, no, I'm Wiccan and I believe this, which there are a couple of different sides of Wiccan. So I'll let you kind of explain, your beliefs and which side of the Wiccan branch you fall on. I've dated what I would call an Earth Wiccan way back in the day, and she was really righteous, and I got more into her than she was kind of a darker type Wiccan chick. Later in life, when I was a little more adventurous. So yeah, I know there's like different types of it, but I dated that girl briefly, so I didn't really get to know too much of her ideology to where I really probably would have taken on to the Earth type Wiccan shit if I wasn't into other stuff at the time.
Well, yeah, there's really, in general, there's really no like one way to do witchcraft or paganism or any of that. Whatever pantheon you do, if you don't even have a pantheon, you just pick a little bit of your whatever, it's whatever really speaks to you. Just don't, and even and I say even don't be an asshole, but if you want to be an asshole in your craft, you got to prepare yourself for the consequences. So that's basically, good luck with that. I do not hold to the supernatural, but I do spellcraft. I do spell work. I do rituals for the moon phasers and for the Sabbath days of each every month or every month or something like that. Beltane is coming up on May 1st. That's a big one for the Welsh Celtic pantheon, which is where I fall. I don't really say that I have beliefs because it's rooted in nature, and I don't have to believe in nature. Nature exists. I personally don't see nature as supernatural.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah, it's not a supernatural thing for me.
It can feel supernatural though. Like,
it can, sure.
I think I still have a lot of my Native American spiritualist tendencies, and I talk about that openly. Like, I still have some Buddhist tendencies. I still have some damn conservative Republican tendencies I'm still trying to kick in the ass. But like, when it comes to the earth, like, I'm still really Native American in my religion on the earth. So I think that's why I always connected with earth type spiritualists, earth type people that really got into protecting the earth, cleaning the earth. Because that's a big thing in Native American spirituality. Our ancestors are looking down upon us, and if we're not protecting what they gave us, then we will face consequences for that. And the 2/3 rule, you don't take more than the earth can heal, that kind of thing. And I've always said it, if we just listen to the Native Americans when they were trying to tell us how to take care of this world, then this world would, the whole face of the world would look completely different. And the world would be healthy, and we wouldn't be facing things like climate change and stuff like that. So yeah, I totally dig that part of it, and I'm learning more about paganism as a result of Ocean and some literature that I just recently started reading that he advised me to start reading, and I'm becoming aware of this subject, which when women come out as witches, they're coming out more as pagans than anything, right?
Yeah, you don't have to be. I always get this confused, but you don't have to be. You don't have to practice witchcraft to be pagan. There are atheists that practice the craft that don't involve the god. And when I say the gods, I don't see them as supernatural. The gods are rooted in and of nature, and nature is not supernatural to me. So what I'm doing, like when I'm doing any sort of spell work, whether it be for the moon or like Beltane May 1st is coming up. That's a big one. Like that's one of our major Sabbath days. That and Halloween, obviously, Samhain or Colin Guy, as it's called in the Welsh Celtic. That's one of the only things I can say in Welsh, by the way, because my Welsh sucks. But I don't see it as and a lot of people think when I say gods, I'm thinking they think the supernatural God, like God. No, I don't see them that way, and that's just me. And there are witches that do feel like that do think see them as supernatural, and that's fine too. But you're right; it can feel very supernatural. Like if I go my church, there's a park, like a war memorial park, not maybe 20 minutes or so away from here. Every Beltane and every Halloween, I go to church, and I'll walk a trail and I'll meditate and I'll feel the energies from the earth herself or from the sun himself, and it can feel really like you get the charge right from nature itself because nature is alive and it's tangible, and I don't have to, well, prove nature exists. Well, dirt. There you go. There's my proof.
Yeah.
So I don't, and that's one of the things why, as I got older, why paganism and witchcraft appealed to me, and why Christianity. No offense to the Christians in the house, but why Christianity didn't speak to me because I didn't see, and I still don't, anything for the supernatural gods. There's no way, number one, to test for the supernatural. Number two, I don't see. There's nothing in that makes sense to me. Like there's nothing that one guy, not even a guy and a girl, not even God and a goddess, which is what I have. One guy did all of this, planets and all that stuff by himself in a week. I can get my husband to do the dishes in a week. Are you kidding me? Like that doesn't make sense. To me, it just didn't speak to me. So what really turned me, what led me into being like paganism and all that anyhow was when I was 17 or 18, when I was in high school. My senior year of high school, I was in the program where they put all like the troubled kids, which is called Project Promise, because my grades sucked and I had behavior issues and ADHD and all that other crap. So on one of the bookshelves, and I still have this copy, this is the exact same copy that I've had since 1996, was this book called Celtic Magic by DJ Conway. She actually just passed away recently. This thing is literally falling apart. I have had it since 1996. I have used it since then, and I still use it now.
My copy of the Gnostic Gospels fell apart, and I have a copy of Seven Pillars of Zen that is currently like on its last leg. I might get one more reading out of it before it's history.
And I'm really trying to do that. I'm trying to preserve that book. I'm like, oh, I want to, but boy, I got to be careful when I turn this page. That binding look is a little shaky. But
Messenger Reveals has a question for you. He asked, "Do you like scarecrows or no?"
Do I like scarecrows? I mean, for Halloween, I'll put them up, but they gotta be scary for Halloween. I don't put up cutesy stuff for Halloween. My Halloween decorations, if I put up a scarecrow, he's got to have like, fangs and teeth and claws and stuff. Because I don't do cutesy stuff.
I think I agree. Like, do scarecrows actually scare crows? Because I don't think that they do.
I mean, like, you see crows sitting on scarecrows. So
yeah.
how offensive is that?
So outside of like the Halloween thing around scarecrows, or maybe like Wizard of Oz, yeah, they don't. I mean, old superstition, kind of like Jesus. Sorry, Messenger.
I know. I'm trying to. John's
messing with you, dog.
I'm gonna try not to. I don't want to rag on Christianity because John's been so great, and I don't want to like upset him or anything. But
he's a big boy. He can take it.
I know. But what really drew me, honestly, what drew me to that book was the cover, because the cover was pretty, and I'm a high fantasy nerd, so I was like, oh, this looks cool. And I was going through senior year of high school was like literally one of the worst years of my life ever. Like everything just sucked. The only thing that was good about high school was getting out of it. So, but I was reading through. I'm like, oh shit, I can maybe my boyfriend and I can get back together, and I can put a hex on that bitch who pulled my hair in class. Because I didn't know a whole lot about it. I just figured, okay, then. But as I got older, I realized that it's not. At least for me, it's not really about that. The way I was taught once I joined a coven in New Jersey is magic is always the last resort. So if I want to get back together with whoever, let's say, there's other avenues in the mundane, as we call it, that I can take. And then if I really need the help, then I can go to the gods and the craft and spell work. But when you're a teenager, you don't think that. You just think like, get this boyfriend back, and I'm gonna get that bitch who tripped me in gym class, and it's gonna be great. And as you get older, you figure out that no, that's not exactly what it's about. And I mean, and to the other side of the coin, there are witches that will just cast for anything, and they're not doing it wrong. That's just not the way I do it. That's not the way I was taught. I don't go throwing spells around like I'm at Hogwarts or anything. But in the ones that do, great. That works for you, then cool. But that's just not how I was taught. And but yeah, with it being based in the earth and nature, again, like I said, nature is tangible, and there's no proving that nature exists. It's right. I take my dog out to go pee, and I'm in nature, so like
Yeah.
But sorry.
I totally get that part of it. The part I don't get is spellcraft. But like I said, I've just never seen it actually come true. Even like with the one person that I knew, she would think that it would come true, but it really didn't. And like I also knew a Stragone. I think I mentioned that before.
Yeah.
And he was very manipulative. Like but not. I don't think it was anything intentional, or maybe it was. He was just like a master of the mind, and could really make you think things that wasn't really real. It's really hard to explain it, and it was such a long time ago, down in North Carolina when I knew this guy, and he claimed to be a Stragone. I don't even really know if he was a Stragone, but I've researched it since, and know that they do exist. The female version is the Strega, and the male version is Stragone, and they're essentially one of the oldest covens in Italy. So the guy really impacted me in a way at the time to where I believed the things he was saying. But at the time, I also believed in magic, and I just don't anymore. And that's, just me. And I like the atheist rationale often brings up James Randi, and I love it because I followed James Randi, and nobody's ever been able to prove it. There's this big, huge prize, and somebody just has to prove it, and nobody can. But I do think that people that do magic think that it's real, and it's in their perceptions. They think that it's real, that it's really happening. So it's really hard to argue against that, because I think the brain works in really fucked up, retarded ways sometimes. It was like, and you think shit's real when it's not, if you believe in it that much. It's really it's the hard thing. Like, even battling with Christianity, you don't have to battle with a deeply indoctrinated person to have a really hard time with that person trying to come to some sense of what truth is. They just have to really, really believe it. They could have came to it very late in life, and all they really have to do is believe a thing, and it's gonna be hard for anybody to penetrate it. So that's with me. Like, I just naturally don't believe in supernatural, so it's going to be really hard to penetrate that disbelief. I need to see it, and all the spells she cast to keep me didn't work.
Well, me personally, I'm not a fan of casting like love spells.
Yeah, well,
you're casting with someone's free will.
I think she. I don't know if she actually cast them. I think she just told me she cast them to kind of make me feel like a thing or some shit.
Yeah, you really shouldn't mess with that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but
we were young and dumb way back in the day.
In terms of like spell craft, and again, this is just for me. I don't harness the supernatural. I harness the natural. The spinning, the turning of the wheel. The turning of the wheel is the earth, and it turns a certain way, and energy moves.
You said that before, that you don't really believe in the supernatural and all.
Yeah. So when I say I'm doing magic, I'm not talking about like think of like Disney movies.
Well, yeah.
It's not like that at all. Like what you see on TV, like it's not like that. It's not like that at all.
And that's how, like, when I'm, and I'll get to, because Messenger has another pretty good question for you, but when I'm researching history, I grant that maybe some of the women that were burned throughout history actually did identify as witches. What I can't get behind is they're actually guilty of the crimes they were accused of. You know, being able to get outside of their bodies and haunt people, or the Salem witch trials. The girls were saying that they were being bitten by spirits that resembled the women. And,
This person sent her spirit out to me.
yeah. Those are impossible crimes that can't possibly happen. You know, there's no devil for you to become the bride of. You know, you're not going to get a devil's mark. They're birthmarks. You know, so it's, you know, so just granting that some of them might have actually identified as witches, the vast majority of them didn't, and were actually just accused of a thing and tortured until they admitted a thing. You know, so it's really like, just the term, you know, I would say it's probably a worse term to come out as than most terms, you know, even in being an atheist, or, you know, I'm coming out gay now, or I'm coming out witch, has a lot of bad annotations throughout the world. Like, people are still being burned alive over in Tanzania right now, you know.
Yeah, no, and back in the day, like those, like a lot of those women were like midwives and like healers and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a real patriarchal society. So women weren't supposed to know shit. So if a woman A had some knowledge about shit, or B might have had some shit like land or something, oh no, you can't have that. So that's why a lot of them were, almost all of them were, there were men in there too, but most of them were women. You can't have knowledge or possessions or anything like that without a man around or doing anything like that. No, we got to get rid of these bitches because they can't. They're doing stuff that men are supposed to be doing, and that's a lot of it. What it was, they were the healers and the midwives and stuff.
Yeah, I'm still researching like the Spanish Inquisition, so I'm not as familiar as I like to be when I'm discussing something. But one thing that I have noticed in my research of the Spanish Inquisition is that they tended to targeted well-spoken women, so women that could actually speak out against whatever patriarchy was being presented to them. These women would speak out against it, and then the Spanish Inquisition would come and ferret these women away. They didn't want strong-minded, free-spoken women. They wanted very weak, pliable women. But I could be wrong about that. I'm still researching the Spanish Inquisition, but I know that was definitely a trend in Scotland and in Europe with their witch trials. That's beyond a doubt. I've been researching this for a year now, and predominantly the women that were accused of witchcraft were either A, attractive and rejected somebody's advances, or B, were very outspoken women.
And there were a lot of them from what I read that might have had land or something passed down to them from a father or a husband passed away or something, and the male government wanted to get their hands on it for whatever, and trumped up all these charges. I mean, it was all bullshit. All the witch trials were bullshit. None of that happened. There was some weird shit going on, and there was no way to explain it other than the devil, which obviously the devil obviously produces witches. Duh.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Like, a lot of them were midwives, so they were people that were very affluent with medicines that the earth provides. Yeah, exactly. So they would provide these so-called potions and tonics, which aren't bad at all. It's not from the devil. It's just, hey, I figured out that this root mixed with this root does this thing. Here, drink this, so you're not sick anymore. And oh my God, they got over it, and it must be Satan. Like, no, you fucking, and it all stems from the belief in Satan, which is one of the reasons why, you know, I find the talk of speaking of Satan as this real creature attacking humanity as dangerous as, say, Matt Powell speaking his homophobia. You know, to me, history shows that belief in a real devil has led to mass hysteria that will result in the deaths of thousands upon thousands of people. Me and you would probably be the first in the fire.
Oh, I'd be the first ones to go. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Well, they yeah. That, and I'm left-handed. So back in the day.
Oh yeah, you're.
Oh, I don't even have a shot. That's it. That's it for me.
How did you get out of infancy?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. And when I'm told, when I'm literally told that I'm a devil worshiper, I'm like, yeah, there's no there are Satanist witches. I don't know how that works. There are Christian witches that will
Yeah.
use the Bible in their spell work and Ruby. I don't know anything about it, but hey, but when I'm told that I'm a devil worshiper, I'm like, I don't even believe in the Christian God. So
Yeah,
how
like,
do I even acknowledge? And I mean,
and here's the fact, people, most devil worshippers don't
don't
believe in
worship the
the
devil.
devil. You know, like
It's
they
not like
fucking
that at all.
don't.
No, they don't worship the biblical.
It's like a political stance. It's, you know, they go to parks and say, "Oh, you got this monument to the Ten Commandments here. Let's put this statue of a devil." We're
Yeah.
Satanists. You know, if you want to get rid of us, you got to get rid of it all. Freedom of fucking religion, yo.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like that at all.
They're not out in robes at midnight, you know, sacrificing
No,
babies
no.
to Beelzebub.
And that's another thing that bugs me. Like when these like so-called former witches are coming out and they're converting to Christianity, which is fine. If paganism and the craft no longer speaks to Christianity, speaks to
I hear what you're saying. It bothers me when I see atheists come out, and I'm like, so especially, all right, I can understand it if you're an atheist that was never like a Christian, but if you were a Christian and then you became an atheist and then you went back to Christianity, that fucking bothers me, and it irks the fuck out of me.
It doesn't bother me if you're going to convert. What really pisses me off is when they're making these videos that are like, I was deceived by Satan to be pagan, practice witchcraft. No, you weren't. No, bitch.
Or they'll claim that they were a thing, and then they say things that were like, you were never that.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. There's a girl called Beth something or other. I can't think of her last name, but she blocked me from her comments because I was calling her out on all of her bullshit. I was a few years ago. I was on. I don't know if you ever heard of him or not. He's called the Eternal Planner. He posted a clip of how this former witch said that on Halloween, that Satanists, not Satanists, that pagans witches use Halloween as a way to sacrifice and sexually molest children. And when she was doing a circle one night, she heard Satan say that he would never let you go. I'm like, no, she didn't. No, you know why? Because no, she didn't. That's not even a thing. And then she got into how she was doing drugs and this and that. Well, all right, if you're doing drugs, that's not part of actual witchcraft. Your choice to do drugs and your choice to practice the craft are two completely different things. They have nothing to do with each other. You were brought to drug use by witchcraft, and witchcraft didn't bring you into drug use. Or when she was dressing all in black and this and that, I'm like, that's not a thing either. If you made bad fashion choices back in the day when you were a teenager, the practice of the craft has nothing to do with the shitty whatever that was going on. Stop it. That's not a thing. So I take real issue with them, and I'll comment on their pages when they're like, I was deceived by Satan when I was. No, you weren't. No, you weren't.
Yeah, to me, like 99.9% of that has to be like Christian propaganda. You know,
it absolutely is, because when you tell people that you're Christian, you know, even though Christianity is slowly starting to decline, you're still very well received. You're like, hey, you're a Christian, you're automatically a good person. When you tell someone you're pagan and practice witchcraft, you're automatically the bride of Satan, and you just ate a baby 20 minutes ago. So you're not very well received. So I can see the allure of, look, I don't want everybody to think that I'm a shit person, so let me get out of this. Like, I can see that, but you know what? That shit doesn't happen. You were not deceived. No, stop it.
Yeah, I think that people evolve and we change, but I don't see how you can suddenly like just go to something like you know, the guy that made my intro to my videos, the little animation thing, his name was Mad Love, and he was a Christian YouTuber. I'm not sure what happened to him. His channel went down. He doesn't make videos anymore. Doesn't email me anymore. Really weird. Don't know what happened to the guy. But that was something that he would say a lot, was he was used to be an atheist, and then he would say shit left and right to where even me, like we were friends and I got along with him, I would have to make the occasional video calling him out like, dude, like this is clearly nothing that any atheist has ever said in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Like, we do not talk like that. We do not think like that. And I don't ever claim to represent all of atheists, but like, I am literally like, no atheist has ever said this shit, dude.
Yeah. And I that was the same problem that I had with the former so-called witches. And I'll see on YouTube all over the place. There was a thing on Facebook a couple years ago, and I had it back and forth with this so-called former witch. I'm like, if you really practiced the craft, then you would know that all of this, like, deceived by Satan, is bullshit. That's not, you weren't deceived by Satan. You chose to practice witchcraft. Witchcraft stopped speaking to you. Christianity did, and now you're a Christian. But once they cross over, I think they're told that everything they did was of Satan, maybe to scare them away so they don't go back.
Yeah, or at least be a little more original and go back farther in history, because Satan is a relatively new thing. Like, go back to, if you want to talk witches and what the stereotypical historical beliefs of them are. What was it? The moon goddess Diana, Dionysus. Those would be more relative to witches than, they're fucking Lucifer, which is something they never really believed in because they were never Christian. They were fucking witches,
I mean, that stuff. I mean, I don't care if someone converts one way or the other, but it's when they come out essentially spreading, like, lying on witchcraft and witches in general. It's like, no, that didn't happen to you. You didn't see Satan. You know why? Because Satan is not the heart of witchcraft. Satan's not a part of that. It's just not. So again, like I said, there are Satanist witches. I don't know how that works, but there are. But at the very heart of the craft in general, Satan's not there. So you're fucking full of shit. Stop it. Also, I think it gets them views when they say that, and it gets attention because, like I said, you're not well deceived when you say you're a Christian. I mean, I'm sorry, pagan, or you practice witchcraft. When you turn to Christianity, then you're automatically a good person. So you get views, you get attention, you get. So I think I think that's where. And again, if someone changes their mind, then okay, you change your mind. May the force be with you. That's great. Pagans don't get pissed if someone converts to something. We don't care. Okay, that's cool. If this path doesn't speak to you anymore, good luck on your new path. We're not going to tear you down. We're not going to tell you, well, you're being deceived, and we don't do that.
Oh yeah, my interactions with pagans have been awesome. Since I started interacting with them, Ocean wasn't the first, but since I've met Ocean, I've met a few more, and I find pagans to be very genuine people, which is what matters to me. And they don't preach a doctrine that is harmful to anyone. They live their lives and they have their beliefs. Like, honestly, I find some of the beliefs silly. Some of the beliefs, I'm like, holy shit, I really want to find out more about those. Fucking the little altars with the pantheon of gods that pagans have. I want one just to have one in my background.
That's my altar right there. I don't have it. I don't know if you can see, but I don't have it.
Yeah, I see it.
For Beltane yet. I'm probably going to do that tomorrow. But normally it's just set up just like that. And I'll light my candles, and I'll light my incense, and I'll go about my day.
Yeah, I still burn sage, and I do my smudges, and I understand that I started doing it as a Native American spiritualist, and it was a way to keep demons out and to repel demons. And this one guy, I at one point did really believe in that stupid shit, but now I use it because it helps me meditate. And I think that, for me, especially because my mind is racing, I have to make time for meditation. I have to slow down my thoughts.
I need to do that.
And I have to every single day get to that point of silence, so I can allow my brain to just kind of reset. And that's which is when I do it often. Like next weekend, I'm not planning on doing much because I need to reset. That's just the way I am.
I have ADHD, and meditation is difficult in general, but I really need to practice more. But
I think everybody has to practice. It might be a little harder with ADHD.
Oh, it's incredibly difficult. Are you kidding me? And I have 2 cats and a dog and a husband, and I'm trying to. I can't shut down readily in general, and then I have just life, and it stinks. So it's difficult. But I really need to do more meditations, and I really need to sit down and practice more of that. Like when I was in my coven in New Jersey, we had like certain my high priest was like, okay, I want you to meditate. There's a few of us. I want you to meditate at least twice a day and practice your tarot readings, which I'm not great with tarot cards. My fairy deck, my fairy oracle cards, I'm good with, but regular tarot, not so much. And practice. And then I kind of, when I moved down here, I guess because I wasn't in a coven, I kind of fell out of practice of that stuff. With ADHD, I kind of need to be in something structured like a coven. Right now, I'm practicing solitary because the coven I used to be in was like an hour and change away from me, and I love them to death, and I love my high priest and my high priestess. I miss them, but I can't. It's a hike. It's a hike.
Yeah, that's a bit away.
And it's difficult to find. It's difficult to find pagans down here in general. I actually just met a lady who's been coming to my work. Her dog is a regular at my work, hangs out at my work. And I had my pentagram on about a week ago. So she goes, "Oh, hey, I like your necklace." And I'd seen her 100 times before, and I don't know why she didn't notice it until I'm like, "Oh, there's 2 pagans that come to my work now, yay!" So it's a big deal. And like
especially down there, like Bible Belt. Yeah, I would say that pagans probably aren't too numerous down there.
I was on Seth Anderson did a thing a few months ago or whatever, and I talked to him for 2 minutes like a blithering idiot because I was so stoked to talk to Seth Andrews, sorry. And he goes, I said, well, I'm pagan, I live in the South. And he goes, wait, so if he goes, where do you live? I go, Georgia. He goes, so if I Google pagans in Georgia, you're one of the 2 people that'll come up. I'm like, yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, well, I bet. I've been to Georgia a couple times, usually Atlanta, and those fuckers drive crazy, man. I will never go back.
The worst drivers on the planet are in Atlanta, or just Georgia in general. And I only go to Atlanta for Dragon Con because it's a pain in the ass to get out there, and there's no public transport really. But the worst drivers, just in general, are in just the state of Georgia, not just the city.
I can imagine. I was literally like, I was going like 20 above the speed limit. And I look over, and Grandma, who's got to be almost 100, is flipping me off, speeding by.
Yeah, you're going too slow.
Yeah, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah, you're going too slow. Yeah,
these people are insane.
Yeah, no blinkers, and they don't. When I first moved down here, what my dad told me is, don't trust a redneck with a vehicle. So,
Messenger Reveals did have another good question for you way back, and I've kind of held the chat here, so I haven't paid any attention to what's been going on. But he says, another question for Marty. Do you enjoy movies about witches, Practical Magic, The Craft, Hocus Pocus, Spellbinder, etc., or are they offensive?
No. Practical Magic is one of my favorite movies ever. I don't find it offensive. What I find myself having to do a lot of explaining, like when I tell somebody that, and I don't... living down here, I don't come right out and say, hey, I'm pagan and I practice witchcraft and I'm bisexual. How are you? Because it's Georgia and everybody's a Christian. When somebody asks me, like when I first moved down here, I was waiting tables. And one of the first things I heard when I was waiting tables was, oh, you just moved down here. What church do you go to? Yeah, I don't really go to church. Oh, really? Why? Well, I just kind of don't. So what can I get you to drink? Like trying to like move the conversation along. If I'm asked,
I get that question a lot too. Like, what church do you go to? And I'm like, I don't know if all the atheists get that thing or not, but like, I can't wait for the day when not Christianity's gone or whatever, just that Christians don't ask that fucking question anymore.
Yeah, like, and I tell people this, and especially down here, like, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a Baptist church down here. If I really wanted to find Jesus, I can do that on my own. It's the information age. I don't need you to tell me that I'm going to hell and that I'm a sinner and all that stuff. I can hop on Google or drive 2 seconds down the street. I got this. So thank you very much. But I don't tell people outright, but I don't hide it either. If I'm pressed for it, then I'll tell them. And I usually get the, oh, okay. And I will have people ask me like, oh, like, yeah, I saw that movie, The Craft, with those. Yeah, it's not really like that.
Yeah.
Like take all the ridiculousness out of that movie, Because if they really showed what we actually did and what our actual spell work consists of, you've seen spell work, it would be a pretty fucking boring movie. So
Yeah.
they have to chump it up and make it look cool and make all kinds of effects and shit. Because otherwise, no one watching that. No one's gonna watch,
You pretty much have to be really high as
yeah.
looking in to be like, oh man, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, nobody's gonna watch Karen, walk around in a circle and chant and light candles because that's gonna be boring as shit. So they have to like chump it up and make it look cool and make it like oh no. I don't find it offensive at all. I find it like I do kind of get a little bit tired of the tropes a little bit, but I don't find it offensive. But Practical Magic is one of my favorite movies. God, I love that movie.
I don't think I've seen that one.
so
I've seen The Craft.
It's so good. The Craft is a good one too, but
Practical Magic did that have like Nicole Kidman in it?
yes, Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock, and I was such.
All right, yeah, I think I did see it actually.
Yeah,
way back in the day.
It's such a great movie. I love that movie, but and I don't I don't find it offensive. It's just I find myself having to and I get a lot of like I mean I've had to explain that the spells in Harry Potter don't actually exist. I've literally had to explain this to a grown-up who was older than me. And I did this one day when I was waiting tables. One of the manager types, she was a server, but she was promoted. She was a pretty hardcore Christian. She said she didn't let her kids watch Harry Potter or read the books because it teaches witchcraft. I go, it doesn't teach witchcraft. She said, yes, it does. I go, I have been practicing witchcraft for a really long time. None of the spells in Harry Potter work. So all day long, every time I saw her, I would take like my pen or like a spoon for like the iced tea and go, and nothing would happen. I'd go, Wingardium Leviosa. Nope, nothing. Or
not gonna work.
Lumos. Nope. And she's like, what are you doing? I go, see, those are all spells from Harry Potter. Did they work? No. So there you go. It's a effing book.
Yeah. I have an aunt that wouldn't let her or won't let her children, because she's got a young daughter now, won't let her children watch. Last I knew, wouldn't let her children watch Harry Potter because of references in the Bible to witchcraft and wizardry and shit. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? It's a story. It's a story.
It's a story. It's really, I mean, it's really not. It's not.
Like J.K. Rowling was on a train. She was on her way to a restaurant job, and she had one little sentence pop in her head, and that is, boy goes to wizarding school. Yeah. And Harry Potter was born.
And now she's a gajillionaire, and she was on welfare. She was a single mother on welfare, and now she's got more money than she knows what to do.
I think she's now the richest author in the history of the world. I think that's the thing now. I'm not... I think Stephen King could have been, but he lost his fortune a couple times to where she's really built up a huge thing now. It's pretty crazy.
Good for her. But I find myself having to fend off that, like, it's a movie, for fuck's sake. It's called camera tricks and special effects. None of that stuff happens. So
and even like, you can be in situations to where you think supernatural things happen. It doesn't mean it was supernatural. Like I was in a seance one time with the Strigone I was telling you about, and we were all really fucking high, and we thought some shit was moving around and shit, and it just wasn't. We were like tripping on acid, And he was manipulating us into thinking that we were seeing these things. He knew the drug we were on, and he used it well, So, and I'm not saying that everybody that has these supernatural experiences were using drugs like I was using in that instance. I'm just saying that usually, the brain does play tricks on you, and if you believe a thing and you're in a certain mood, and especially if you're surrounded by fellow people that believe a thing,
confirmation bias.
This is how voodoo works, to where voodoo can become a really, really serious thing because so many people believe in it that it triggers the society around the person targeted to be affected, and everybody's, oh, it's magic. No, it was the society shunned that person. Literally that happens a lot. And but the power of suggestion, the power of groupthink. Right. I often say that. Like, I've watched my dad raising us was never fundamental before. You know, never fundamental. He was never a fundamental Christian. He barely ever took us to church. But now he's so indoctrinated that it's like trying to penetrate a brick wall, even talking about anything outside of, hey, Dad, I love you. You know, you know, he doesn't want to go there. You know, he still thinks it's a phase. You know, I'll come out of it and I'll come back to God. And hopefully it's before he's dead, so he can go to God and know that the son that's named after him is going to come to God too. But sorry, Dad, I'm not.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't have any. Well, like my dad's a staunch atheist, like hardcore atheist, and my mom, I guess, is lapsed Catholic. I don't know. So I wasn't raised irreligious, but I wasn't raised religious. It just wasn't really brought up in the house, mostly because my dad was not having any of anything God, Jesus, none of that crap. He's from South America, and he went to Catholic school, South America, back in the day. So this is when like nuns would smack you, you know, like. So one of the things that he said when he came here is that when he had kids, he wasn't forcing that on his kids, and he didn't, and he was an atheist anyhow. But he was, and still kind of is like he doesn't approve of like. I don't really like even calling paganism a religion, because when I think of religion, I think of something that's oppressive and doesn't let you think and do and follow with the path and learn on your own. But for the purposes of the conversation,
yeah, I definitely don't think, from what I've seen of the pagans that I've interacted with, that I would call what they believe in like a dogmatic theocracy.
Yeah, no, we don't have that. In general, we just don't have that at all. But I wasn't like, so his thing is like, just don't force it on him or other people. And we don't. Pagans in general don't feel the need to convert or recruit. If you're interested, you can find information, talk to me, or whatever. Otherwise, it's not that big a deal.
Ocean's a perfect example of that. He accepted me as the raging atheist, and it was only at me expressing, hey, dude, you know, I'm really interested in learning more about paganism. I don't know much about paganism. I do a lot of Christian work, and I've just never really researched this paganism thing before. So he, upon my asking, offered a couple books, you know, but it was never anything that he's here, dude, read this, you need to know about my beliefs. No, he doesn't care about that shit. He believes what he believes, and he's pretty amazed that the raging atheist is cool enough to, you know, not fucking biting his head off every time I talk to him. You know,
Ocean's a good dude.
Oh yeah, he's pretty awesome.
I don't think he lives that far from me, actually.
Yeah, I think he's in Georgia. Like I saw his view from where he lives. I'm very jealous. I'm very jealous. Real quick, because I held the chat here just so I can make sure I get to it. Jen with one N says, at the Raging Atheist, tell Martha my friend Eve, a Wiccan, makes travel altars on Etsy. They are made inside an Altoid 10.
Oh, cute. I'll check what she's called, Eve.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. Cute.
See, Immutable Destiny is in the chat. What's up, Immutable? He says, at the Raging Atheist, do you think that freedom of religion can be accomplished by providing general information of major religion to young adults and teens so they can determine for themselves? Yes, I do. I think that it's what I try to do with my daughter, and she was infected by my mom with religion. So to this day, she believes in God. I think we should try to leave that decision to when they can make that decision. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard to do as parents, if you believe a thing, to not include your children in it. I struggle with it. You know, I know she's heard me say things, but I really try to separate her from what I do here. And I don't try to have her hear me say anything really derogatory about God. If I make derogatory comments about God, then I make sure she's not here when I make those videos, you know, and if I'm editing those videos, then I have my headphones on, not the speakers. So it's, you know, it's something that I try to do. And I think true freedom of religion can be accomplished by providing all of the facts of religion, not just what the religions would have you know about him. Oh, Jesus is this loving God. Not really, because what has been done in the name of Jesus since Jesus died, and that's just taking away all debate on whether he even existed in the first place. What has Christianity done since Jesus died, and you don't get to say, well, those weren't real Christians. I had somebody literally told me that tonight.
Not a real Christian. Well, how do you know?
Witch trials, talking about the witch trials. Well, those weren't real Christians. No, that was all of Christianity at the time. So if all of Christianity at the time weren't real Christians, then I don't know where the fuck you came from. You know, because then all Christians after would not be real Christians. So obviously your logic is not, it's not there. It's just not there, you know. And I was having a good dinner until I go to the same place to have dinner and a few beers, and they all know what I am, and they like to troll me. Like they sit next to me. Oh, yep. I'm gonna make this comment right here, motherfucker. Check, please.
Yeah, it's hard out there for him. You know, like.
Yeah, well, it's my spot for 6 years. So they've actually they were there when my channel was at 30 subscribers, and I was talking about this channel that I'm doing, and they're like, this motherfucker. And now I'm talking about all these people I'm meeting and how my channel is slowly growing and getting there, and we're getting there, and we're getting there. And they're like, yeah, there's the atheist again. I'm going to talk about they're not real Christians, or usually it's politics. You know, I was wearing this hat when I went there tonight, and that sparked some debate.
I don't really do the politics thing. I mean, I'm not a Trump fan because I don't know if anybody's ever heard me talk or not.
I hate talking politics on my channel. I hate it. I get uncomfortable with it.
Because I don't really know a whole lot about politics. I don't really follow. I try not to because I'm kind of in the middle a little bit, and there's no really like strong candidate for the middle.
I told the moderator for tomorrow night that we are to stay hard away from politics as much as we can. Eventually, it's probably going to go there because Will is that he's going to want to talk about it. So the moderator is going to really have to steer Will away from politics because his alt-right leanings just make him want to scream against the liberal.
Oh, I gotta watch this now. I have to. What time is it? You said
we're starting at 9. We're starting at 9.
I have to watch this. I don't have to be at work till 5 on Sunday, so I can stay up for a really long time and sleep in on Sunday.
Immutable, I don't think it's a reason we should reject it, but I think we should actually study it. Nobody knows who Gillis Duncan is, and they all should. Nobody knows what happened or most people don't know what really happened in the Spanish Inquisition, and they all should. I think that they need to stop watching the Kardashians, just pick up a book and read history. And to your point, like, yes, if we give them all of the information as teenagers, then I think it would be a lot better than trying to force that information upon them when they're 5. You know, like just me personally. Yeah. And I'm fairly certain that your position would be around the same. But yeah.
Yeah, if I had a kid, I wouldn't like force, what I do on them. If they asked me, were curious, okay, fine. If they wanted to go to church, sure, I'd take it to church.
I haven't even really decided what age I'm going to have that conversation with my daughter. But I don't think it would be before 16. And I'm thinking probably more like 18 or 19 when I think that she's an adult,
Yeah, I mean, and to people that do raise their kids Christian or pagan or whatever, that's fine. But that's just for me personally, because especially with Christianity is pretty heavy. Like, it's a pretty heavy thing. Like you're born broken and terrible, and this person died for you, so you better believe.
Yeah. And you can present all of the evidence on the other side of it too. Like I'm saying, present the evidence of the witch trials, present the evidence of the orgies in the Vatican all those years ago, present the evidence of what's his fuck face that actually thought he was Jesus, that was the Pope. But you can also present all the evidence of all the great things Christians have done, or all the great things Islam has done, or any of the religions. You can present all of the evidence and let them decide for themselves. But we don't do that.
We don't.
What we start doing is at 3, 4, 5 years old, we start talking about a fictitious character that there's no proof of. So we don't give. They grow up believing a thing instead of developing a mind to make a logical conclusion. That is my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one because you ever see the movie Jesus Camp?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
People have told me I need to look at that. I need to look at it.
Probably one of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my life. And a lot of these kids didn't. It's just you can see on their faces they don't understand what the fuck is going on. Like they just don't get it. Like they're kids. There was a scene where they go to like the camp for the night and it's the first night and they're like telling ghost stories and being silly and goofy because they're fucking kids, 7, 8-year-old kids. And a dad comes in and is like, hey guys, you really shouldn't be talking about this kind of stuff because it's not glorifying to God, and you should really be talking about they're fucking kids. I don't think that kids should have the idea of sin in the first place. And that's one of the things about paganism. I don't have a concept of sin. Sin's not a thing. I'm not going to hell. I'm not a sinner. I'm not born.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake when we try to teach our children that their instincts are wrong. I think that people don't like me saying that we're fucking animals. We should listen to our instincts. We should define our instincts. That's why I meditate. I want to silence my brain and hear what I call the soul. It's not what other people call the soul. I'm speaking metaphorically. Right. Calm myself, have nothing going on, nothing. And that's hard to do. It's really hard to do when you got a 9-year-old and you got YouTube going on and Twitter's blowing up and, shit is really getting busy for me right now. It's hard to do, but I still take time every single day to do it. And not enough people do. Not enough people look at the past, not just witches, but let's talk pagans. Let's talk, how the Roman Catholic Empire invaded every so-called heathen civilization they came across and dominated that civilization with blood and brought the survivors into the Roman Empire. Let's talk about all of that. Like Christianity isn't the only evil in the world. We can talk about what the Caliphate did in Asia or in the Middle East. We can speak for hours about all the wrongdoings, or we can speak for hours about all the good doings. The definitive history shows that these religions are capable of very great wrongs. And the only instances they have of atheist societies doing these great wrongs is when they prop up specific individuals, and it no longer becomes an atheistic society anymore because these individuals become the God figure, but they prop that up as examples of how atheists do the same thing. No, we don't. We don't at all. It's still that theology that does the same thing. Right. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. I get told I'm wrong a lot.
Yeah, when they get into like, well, whoever this politician was all this, he did all this in the name of it. No, he didn't do it in the name of atheism. It was the power grab.
There's no doubt that Russia, communist Russia, up until probably later 20th century, was an atheist. It definitely started out as an atheistic concept. There's no doubt about that. But you can't link what Stalin did to atheism. Stalin became a dictator and made himself that figurehead. What Kim Jong-un is doing in North Korea, well, his family have made themselves that God head, so you can't. What Mao did, Mao became that godhead. You can't link that to atheism because we don't worship deities, and we definitely don't worship human beings like that.
There's
or pagans. I don't think I can't really. I mean, pagans, old societies always warred against each other, but I don't think I've never really read in history to where, and maybe I'm wrong, to where it's like a domination of a culture, to where that was more of these huge super religions that came along. The smaller religions was more like, don't fucking come and take my sheep, because if you do, we're gonna come and kill a couple of your people and take your sheep.
Yeah, that's one of the things also that that kind of like keeps me away from Christianity is paganism, or at least pagans in general. I mean, it could be wrong. There could be some judgmental pagan assholes. I haven't met any, but there could be.
Oh, I'm sure there's like I've come across like Nazi atheists, and I'm like, I was talking at the bar tonight with a guy who's a conservative atheist. I'm like, dude, you vote with the voting bloc that's the Christians, you know, you don't see that. He's like, I don't care. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm like, dude, you're an atheist. What the fuck is wrong with you? But it's him, man. That's, you know, we come in all shapes and sizes. You know,
Yeah.
we're different people.
Oh, my husband just fed one of my cats. It's definitely the lack of the dogma, the lack of the, you know, uh, I'm not told from the jump that I'm born defective. Like, just the fact that I exist, I'm already defective, and there's something wrong with me. I'm also not. Sorry, I have to take my cat's bolus. I'm also not a big fan of this substitutional redemption. If I fuck up, I'm gonna get my punishment now, and I deserve it. I'm not gonna. I don't have to wait until I die to either be punished or rewarded. If I go out and knock off a liquor store, I'm going to get arrested. I'm going to spend time in jail. That's my punishment here in this life, because this is where we're at right now. I'm on the fence about the afterlife because there's no actual proof for the afterlife. No one's been dead for a minute and came back and be like, hey, I was dead for like a year and here's what I saw. That's not a thing. So until that actually happens, I'm on the fence about the afterlife. I would like to think that there is the Summerland. It's a comforting thought, but I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah. To me, the afterlife is the same as the proposition of God himself. You know, it's been put forth and it can't be proven. It can't be disproven. As an atheist, I think that, you know, we didn't exist before we were born. So when we die, logic deduces we no longer exist. We're worm food. But I don't fucking know that. And I have hope. Like, dude, I want to see my fucking mom again, and my dad hopefully is going to go before me. Not hopefully, but like that would mean I would die before my daughter's ready for me to die. You know, I would love to see these people again, but I have hope for it, but I don't believe it at all. And if I did believe it, I think it would probably be more along the old Nordic mythologies of, you know, you pretty much hell wasn't a bad place. It's just where you went.
Yeah, there was just a general underworld, and that was it. That's just where, you know.
And I don't even think it was called hell. I think the person that ran it was called hell. You know, it's been a while since I read them, you know, but
I mean, I don't. It's a comforting thought, but again, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Everybody knows that you die, but nobody knows what happens after that. And I think I think that kind of lack of like reassurance maybe freaks people out. It doesn't freak me out. It doesn't, because
it doesn't freak me out at all.
Nobody knows. You could go.
Because
who knows?
The way I look at it is, if there is an afterlife, if there is, then it's not a part of this existence. You know, we're not able to tap that from this side, so I don't see how they would be able to tap it from that side.
Right.
So what only matters, what could only matter to this existence is what we do in this existence. Yeah. You know, so that's what people should focus on, not oh, there's this greater reward later. You don't know that. Appreciate. I can't understand that people that say that if they didn't have God, they'd be killing and raping and murdering, or they'd kill themselves. I don't understand that shit. You only have this existence, man. You know, like
I don't get that either. Because I've said this to other Christians or people or whatever before, and I'm like, I don't have your God. I'm not a rapist or a murderer or animal abuser or child abuser or any of that. So would you?
Yeah, and so many people that have your God are rapists and murderers and child abusers. Like, it makes no fucking sense what you're saying, you know?
It's one of the things. The thing that really, because I was kind of on the fence about Christian God in general. I was agnostic for a minute. Back like when I was a kid. What turned me completely away is back when I was back in 1997. I graduated high school in 96, and I remember 97. It was my birthday, and a friend of the family, who we call Aunt Lily, got me this like tickets to like a thing at Asbury Park, like a Beatles fest thing, and I was raised on the Beatles. I was so stoked to go to this thing. and I get a phone call from a friend of mine that somebody who had just graduated high school in '97 died. This was the summer of '97. That she literally just graduated high school, OD'd on heroin and died. We went to the wake and the funeral and the whole bit. And what was really fucking pissing me off was how this was all God's plan for her. And I'm like, she graduated high school. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all he had for her? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like when my grandma died, like it wasn't even the exact moment probably because there's no way of knowing it, but like around that time when my grandma actually passed, the chimes outside started ringing because there was wind. But everybody in the house was, oh, it's the angels taking her away. And I'm like, it's fucking wind.
Yeah, I'll get into that with you.
But I couldn't say that shit, you know.
Not everything is a thing. You know, sometimes wind it's just wind. And even Freud used to say sometimes a knife is just a knife. You know, not everything is a thing. But after I heard all these fucking adults saying that just graduating high school and for her to turn 18, graduating high school, I was like, that's it? That's it for her? And then I'm going, well, why didn't this God step in and do something? Well, free will. Okay, fine. Let's grant you that for a minute. Her parents are sleeping down the hall. Her brother's across the hall sleeping. Dog is sleeping somewhere. God couldn't maybe wake something up somewhere or send maybe a chill into her mother going, maybe I should check on her for like something to,
like we can equate it to modern events. Like, you know, all these evangelicals swear that Donald Trump was, you know, put in the White House as God's messenger and to bring America back. And yet God's messenger to bring America back to greatness just elected not to withdraw U.S. support from Yemen, which is a genocide. And children are dying from starvation. I mean, it's atrocious what's happening in Yemen. And yet God's messenger is like, yeah, fuck those kids.
Yeah, really. Like,
Saudi Arabia's oil money is more important than those fucking kids.
Yeah, he's a whole nother subject. But like, I just remember saying, like, I'm like, well, like first I was like, well, I don't know if there's a God or not, but you know, after that I was like, if there is a God, I want nothing to do with him. I don't like him.
Yeah.
He stinks, and I don't like him.
Any God that creates cancer and puts it into the brain of a child, or any God that creates diabetes and puts it into a child. Diabetes is fucking horrible. I'm dealing with it. It sucks. And there's far worse diseases. Any God that creates any of them is not a God worthy of following. And to say that, well, he does it for reasons. God works in mysterious ways. I like how Dusty Smith always phrased that terminology better, because Dusty Smith always said God works in retardedly familiar ways or unfamiliar ways. His wording's better, but I just don't get it, you know. And at least with pagans, I find that their belief just seems more genuine and pure, and their God isn't responsible for that, because they don't claim that their God is responsible for that. They don't claim that their God's created all of this, or you know, it's just this doctrine that this omnipresent, omnipotent being that somehow knows everything that's going to happen, but allows you to have free will, so he can't possibly know how everything's going to fucking happen, but yeah, he still knows how everything's going to fucking happen. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Get your story straight. And maybe go talk to some pagans like I'm doing, and see how it's really done, you know.
Yeah, I don't see with that's all, I guess. Again, I don't like calling paganism a religion, because I think of some stuff that's oppressive and repressive, but for the sake of conversation, I'll say religion. All religions, or all schools of thought or philosophies, are all man-made. All of them. That includes mine, and that includes Christianity. All of them are man-made. There's nothing, I guess, original. Everybody took a little bit from something, and it's all man-made. However, the people that I guess invented, I don't know, paganism or whatever, didn't make the claims that our gods, that my pantheon of gods, is the Welsh Celtic, the Celtic pantheon is what I follow, I guess. Because I don't really want to say worship because I don't really worship nature. I don't. It's not like that. It's more of like a I don't know, like a give and take, like a type of thing, you know.
Mm.
But they never made the claim that the gods created all of this, and that our gods are the supernatural bestest gods ever, and you better. It's not like that. So I think that's why maybe we have like a hard time, I guess, maybe with Christians, because the Christians can turn to the Bible and say, well, look, see, it says right here that God says He created everything. Well, what did your but so what? Like, just because the Bible says that doesn't mean. I mean, it's not. We don't have that. We don't have that like that. There's no actual real dogma. We don't have like a pope of paganism. We don't have like a Bible, a central book that everybody has to follow. That's been translated and mistranslated and misused and open to interpretation for a gajillions of years. And I think that maybe kind of freaks some Christians out because maybe they see it as uncertain. I don't see it as uncertain at all. I'm good here. Like I'm good. Mm-hmm. I'm good. I'm grounded in the earth herself, and it's good.
And but Christians and even Muslims, I believe, have separate books from their religious traditions that come into existence and demonize groups of people. Like yourself, for instance, you identify as a witch. What is it called? I'm researching for my next video on witchcraft, the Malleus Maleficarum. And it's basically a book that was written in the early-ish 1500s, I believe, that was endorsed by the Roman Catholic Church, that basically said witches are real and here's what they do, and said that they're maidens of the devil and carrying out the devil's deeds, and pretty much made it a legal precedence to prosecute witches in court systems, and told you how to kill them. This book led to the deaths. I mean, it's accredited directly with the deaths of 60,000 people, but if you accredit it to the entire witch hunt era of the mid 1500s to early 1600s, then there over 200,000 people died from that. So this book is very evil, and it was crafted by Catholics, religious people, to demonize people such as yourself. And they did the same thing with other pagan religions that were in direct conflict with the Roman Empire once Christianity took it over. They did it before Christianity took it over, when they came in contact with pagan civilizations that came in conflict with their pagan gods at the time. So it's Jen with one N says, she mentions the Malleus Maleficarum. Yeah, this book is fucking evil. It might be one of the most evil books ever because of just the death that it caused and the mass hysteria. Once you think that the devil's real, and once you think that people are actually cooperating with said devil, then you can demonize anybody as that. And it can happen still to this day. Yeah, it's very easily. Matt Powell would do some shit like that.
Yeah, that's. See, we don't have like a devil or like a demon or like a hell that like makes you do horrible things. We don't have a scapegoat. If you fucked up, then you fucked up. You as a person fucked up. Period. You weren't led astray by anything, or you weren't. No, you made the choice to kill those people or to rape that girl or to kill that dog for no reason. You made that choice, so now you're gonna have to suffer the consequences. Now. You're going to get caught, you're going to go to jail, you maybe get the chair, depending upon the level of your crime. One of my, and that's honestly like what, as I started to learn more about paganism, not just the practice of witchcraft, because I thought it was cool when I was a teenager, that's one of the things that like made sense to me. Because Christianity never really made sense to me. It still doesn't. But this is the only thing that really spoke to me and made sense to me, because I'm like, oh, fuck, I fuck up now? I'm gonna get shit now. Shit. Like.
And I've often said that. I think I've said it to Ocean a couple times. Like, to me, it just makes more sense. Like, if you're gonna worship a god, wouldn't you want to worship a God that was closer to like the origins of at least religion in humanity? To I mean, this Christian shit, this Jewish shit, even Islam, definitely. I think Hindu might be the oldest of the major religions.
The oldest practice, the oldest, I think. So.
But paganism has been around pretty much for at least 10,000 years.
Yeah.
To where these other religions, 6,000 at most. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wouldn't you want to be closer to those original God? I would think if you're going to be a God believer, I would want to be close, like logically deducing that the ones closer to the origin of the idea might be the ones closer to the truth.
I think where they get hung up on is because the pagan gods didn't make the claims of creating the universe. I think that's where they were like, well, because I've had people tell me like, well, you know, did your god, and I have people go, did your goddess, and I'm like, why are you using quotes, man? What planet do you live on? Well, I live on the Earth. Well, there you go.
Like I can't imagine them having a good reaction if you came up to them to like, does your Jesus?
Yeah, no, I mean, no. Like you live on the Earth, yes, yeah. Well, you don't need to use quotes when referring to the goddess because that's the Earth. So, and it's not, and when I say that, I don't mean like it's, again, like it's just, I don't see it, and this is just me, other pagans and other witches do their thing. For me, I don't see it as a supernatural entity. It's a living entity that should be respected. And I don't worship. My husband used to tell people at his work that I worship trees. I'm like, don't tell people that because that invokes the image of me falling down and worship before a tree.
That's what I used to tell my family. Like when I introduced my Wiccan girlfriend way back into the day to my family, I was like, she worships trees.
And I'm like, no, it's not. No, I don't. It's not like I'm walking down the street and I see a tree and I have to, you know, genuflect before it. I'm like, no, that's not what that means. It's not what it's about. But yeah, I think all of it is man-made. All of it. And I've gotten into some things with some people. And I'm like, look, I've never said otherwise. I never said that it wasn't man-made. All the philosophies and all the schools of thought and all the religions and all the practices, they're all man-made. It's just the one that sticks out to you, and that's fine. But what really fucking gets me is when, I'm told I'm automatically a devil worshiper, and I'm like, no. And when the so-called former witches convert to Christianity, and they're told by their churches or whatever that what they were doing was wrong, and they were deceived by Satan.
So do you think that there's actually witches out there that have cursed the president, or witches that or is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a witch? Because they're saying that about her now. She's a witch, and that's how she won. Or like witches have cursed the president. Like that's not a thing, right?
I mean, I've seen things in spell work that I'm not allowed to speak about because once I do the work, that's it. Then we don't talk about it after that. But I've seen things in spell work, and I've had things not work. I'm gonna go with if there's any bad shit happening to the president, it's because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going with too.
When you step in a big pile of dog shit, you're just gonna track it everywhere, and that's what he's doing. So, so all the shit if there's any bad shit happening to him, it's because he's a.
I mean, I'm sure there are some deeply liberal witches out there that have cursed the president.
I mean, there was an article about it, like right after he was elected, that there was.
But you're right, like.
Remember that?
You can't put Donald Trump's fuck ups on that shit.
Yeah, no. If you fuck up, you fuck up. But there was a thing about a year or so ago where the Christians were going to come together and pray for the president because there were witches that were casting against him. And that's not what they were doing. What they were doing was a binding so he didn't fuck up further. They weren't trying to make his life hell. You really don't have to. It's a waste of time and materials. Yeah. And witchcraft materials are kind of expensive. So it's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy. What they were trying to do was bind him from fucking up further. Whether it obviously didn't work because
it pretty much looks like his new administration is going to be all out insane.
Yeah,
like,
well,
like all the decent Republicans are gone now. Now they're bringing in the Alex Jones of the Republican world.
he's a but it's you know, when everybody I've had people ask me. I used to work with a lady who we didn't really get on with each other, and shit just started happening in her life. She actually asked me. I was like, bitch, I don't care enough about you to waste my energy. It takes a lot of energy. I have to raise energy and I have to send energy out. I don't care enough about you to waste my energy, my time. The goddess got better things to do, and incense and candles are expensive. So
So I'll definitely have to change my argument a little bit because, yeah, I mean, I'm sure because I've always said, stop being. I always figured it was like a Christian argument. These Christian evangelicals that just can't get over how stupid the president actually is, or like, oh, it's witches, it's
no,
witches. No, yeah. So you're saying that there are witches out there that are trying to do something.
no, we're still being blamed for shit. It's 2019, and we're still being
Yeah.
blamed for shit. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys, huh? It's really not. We're really not this.
You would think that it's almost 2020 now that we would be well beyond like this bullshit.
We're not. Obviously, we're not. And that's what it kind of makes me laugh, and it kind of makes me sad a little bit too, because I'm like, we haven't. Hang on, I'm gonna go off camera real quick so you know like that. We haven't learned or educated ourselves or learned from the past enough to like if people just like you were saying, if people just got information about other like religions or philosophies or what have you and just decided and actually just learn, because I don't have a problem. Again, if you're Christian, that's fine. You want to talk about your God, that's fine. But when I say to my Christian friends, well, maybe here's this book or that book, and they're like, oh no, I can't. I don't associate with any of that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, I don't associate with any of that. I don't associate with devils and demons and stuff. It's just a fucking book. It's a book. It's $5 at the store. I'll write a couple titles down for you. Go. You can look it up yourself. No, I don't.
Yeah, I think they're great stories. Like demon stories are some of my favorite stories.
Okay.
I love reading demon stories. I used to read a lot of like I'm trying to think. I think his name was like Frank Peretti or something like that. He's a Christian author that wrote like great epic battles between angels. And I mean, I love those stories. Those were great stories, but they're stories, like they're not real. If there's any historic significance at all to the Bible or any of the other religious texts, they're still stories. Like if I write a historical story, I can't, like when I wrote the story of Gillis Duncan, I had to empathize and like picture shit about her. I had to create scenarios like it doesn't speak much about her in history, so I had to kind of try to go where she was at. Like it's a story, and it might not be 100% accurate, but it's a remembering of her and what she went through. I had to empathize and put myself there in order to get that story, but it's a story. Like you can't take it as 100% fucking fact. Go do the research and find Gillis on your own. Like seriously, you can find her. I did.
Yeah, really. Well, my thing is when I talk to these, I had a deal. I made a deal with a Christian friend of mine. I'm like, look, we were talking. I said, well, I'll go to church with you one day, and maybe you want to come to my house, and you don't have to participate in the circle for the full moon. For you just sit and watch. So you see what I do, and I see where you're coming from. I'm not going to convert to Christianity, but I'm willing to sit with you and learn what you think. Yeah, no.
Yeah, not too many of them are willing to have just like open discussions. It's attack mode immediately. Like I've noticed that like in real life, earlier tonight when I was having dinner, the people that sat down were just attack mode. They don't want to have an open discussion. And
or convert. They're trying to get you to convert.
Yeah.
No. Stop it.
Yeah, it drives me insane. Like this is what's wrong with this country. I'm sitting there with a friend who's a conservative, and we're having a decent discourse about current events, and other people have to come in and just you're this, you're this, you're this, you're that. What fuck AOC? I'm like, dude, she's 29 years old. She's a congresswoman. You're sitting at a bar talking shit.
Really?
whatever you think about her policy, she's a step ahead of you, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem engaging with Christians and talking to Christians, and I have Christian friends. My problem is when they try and convert me.
Yeah.
You want to talk to me about what you believe and why? Okay, cool. But once we get to like, well, you know, how lost you are and this and that, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Oh yeah, you know, and they're praying for your soul every night, like.
Yeah, and that usually
kissing the devil.
Yeah, that usually comes after the, you know, when I'm told I'm going to hell and I'm just a terrible person. I was told I was a terrible person just for not even being a Christian. Before they even found out I was pagan or practiced the craft, just for not being a Christian, I'm a terrible person. So I've gotten the, well, I'll pray that you see the truth or something. I'm like, no, I have, because
prayer literally doesn't work. Like, if you want to make me see the truth, make me see the truth and give me fucking evidence.
right, well, that and you know, like, it's Christians don't believe in Christianity because it's true. It's true to them because they believe it.
Yeah.
It's not the truth. It's your truth, and that's great, man. You know, that's what's true to you. Hindus is, you know, that's what's true to them. Great.
I mean, the ultimate conclusion that at least Christianity is false is because Judaism is still a thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, if God's people didn't accept your Messiah, he's not your Messiah. You just made him so. You know, these people do not accept Jesus Christ as the Messiah, let alone the fucking Son of God. You know, and those are God's people. Your scripture plainly fucking says it. You needed to create a New Testament to change that shit. And now you're looking forward to the death of all the Jews. They don't like to admit it, but they are. You know, Revelations is all about killing all the Jews and then everybody else. You know, so they don't admit that shit. But the fact that there is Judaism still, that Jesus wasn't able to like bring his people because he's God along with him, shows that he was a fucking charlatan if he existed at all. You're believing the wrong shit. At least be a Jew. At least believe in the original shit. Like I was saying, go back to an earlier source. You
know. Do you have 30 seconds so I can run to the bathroom real quick?
Oh yeah, and we are going to be getting off here rather soon because I do need to go to sleep. But yeah, you can go real quick.
Real quick, I'll be right back.
Yes, Messenger, I agree totally. I don't think that the Jewish Messiah was never meant to be the Son of God. I don't think that Jesus claims to be the Son of God until the very end when he's under threat of death. And then I think he says it in a way that refers to like, we're all the Son of God. Like, you know, I'm the Son of God, you're the Son of God type shit. I think there are a couple other instances to where he refers to himself directly as the Son of God. Can't remember all the context surrounding it, but I don't think his general message was that he's the Son of God, and I think most Christians have it wrong. I think me and you would probably be in agreement on that. Surprised I'm still going. I'm fucking tired. I am tired. I need to go to sleep. Good conversation though, man. I've wanted to have this conversation. I'm fascinated with witches from a historical point, as you guys all know. So great conversation. I'm enjoying it.
Sorry, I had to pee and chase my cats out of the room.
I should have actually taken the opportunity to go grab another beer. So I feel the dead air. You can feel the dead air for a couple minutes.
I feel the dead air. What? I got nothing, man.
Oh yeah.
The feed's not working.
Cast a spell on the audience.
Cast a spell on audience. Well, we might want to cast a spell on the video because I don't see video, but I see the chat. Hi, chat. How are you? Nakasuchi's gone, and I don't really have anything to talk about right now. I can read some of the chat though. My dog is humping my cat right now. Oh well, that's not good, Jen. You might want to take care of that, unless your cat is okay with that. I hope everybody's spayed and or neutered. I don't know how that kind of thing would work. That sounds kind of scary, actually. Hello to Free Spirit at Last and to Gabby. Anybody else? Right. Yes. So okay. See,
Yeah, Adelinda Dragon Queen. What's up?
Ooh, hi. Um, so yeah. Um, but yeah. I mean, it's hard to, even though from what I've read, that's like church numbers and Christian numbers are falling. You know, it's still hard to say, like, especially down here, hey, I'm a pagan, or probably for you, hey, I'm an atheist, and there's so much, like, still, I guess, like, superstitions about anybody that's not a Christian, and it's like, I'm really on the same. I get up for work. I have pets. I pay my taxes. I'm no different of a person than you. I just happen to follow
Yeah,
the path.
that's the one thing. Like I can't seem to hammer that home with people. Like when you decide to be an atheist, right? Like you don't just change. Like you don't become some different fucking person than you've always been before. You're literally the same person. but
Right.
but now you are free to read things maybe you wasn't free to read before, think in a way that maybe you wasn't free to think before. And that's the only difference. Like when I first started going to clergy, with my questions, I was turned away, and they just told me pretty much, you pray and talk to God, and God will solve it. And no, I have fucking questions. Answer them. They don't answer them. And it's just, to me, it's all ridiculous. Find your own answers, and whatever those answers are, live content with them.
Right.
But don't try to pretend to even know me. Like people try to pretend to know me just because I claim that mantle of the atheist, or even the raging atheist, whatever. You guys seriously don't know me. Don't pretend to know me. Well, if you've watched this channel long enough, you probably do know me pretty well. But but like, just people that I meet in general that just automatically assume, oh, you're an atheist, so you're this. Like they see my tattoo, and I have to. Here we go. Like,
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, I wear I wear my pentagram everywhere, and I have to kind of, like, again, I don't like announce it. Hey, I'm pagan. But I shouldn't have to hide either.
yeah.
2019. I should just be able to say, when someone tells me, "Hey, what church you go to?" I should just be able to go, "Well, I don't go to church because I'm pagan." I should just be able to do that.
Yeah,
But
and I think we should see it more in society. Like, and I think that's the whole normalizing of atheism, or normalizing paganism. I think that's why we tend to ally more than we tend to disagree.
right,
Is because we're both trying to fight that same fight. Hey, we're people too. We should be able to practice in the same exact way that you're practicing. That's what people don't understand. Why do you say so much bad about God? I'm like, I'm an atheist, dude. I'm just being me. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. Like, seriously.
plenty
Like,
of other channels on YouTube.
yeah, there's literally hundreds of thousands of other channels on fucking YouTube.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Um, and I mean, the fact that we both kind of face the same challenges from, I guess, I mean, it's if I don't know if Christianity is still a societal norm at this point, because church attendances are dropping, and the nuns, as they're called,
I
are
I
dropping.
think it depends on where you live, but even I can't imagine any place in America that's really like totally free of it. You know what I'm saying? Like where you could just feel totally 100% comfortable being a witch and coming out and saying, doing a ceremony out in your front yard.
I
Like,
wish. I
yeah,
wish. I want my wish for the whatever house that I eventually get. I need a space. We need a fenced in yard because we have a dog, and I need a space in that backyard to do my things I love to do outside. Because I have done circle outside before, and it's great because I'm right in with with the stuff, and it's great. That's like the dream house. That and a really big bathtub, because I like to take baths. But um, it's it should just be no problem. Hey, what church you go to? I don't. I'm pagan. Hey, what church you go to? I don't. I'm atheist. Um, but it's not. If for some reason it's still difficult in 2019, and the fact
yeah,
that we're trying to push, like, I guess, maybe push back, and when, like, the real hardcore Christians are like, well, you're trying to take away religious freedom, and No, I'm not. I'm trying to say, hey, I exist. Just because me saying that I exist, I'm not trying to take away from you. You're trying to
Yeah.
prevent me. I'm not, that's
The only thing I'm trying to take away from Christians is their capacity to translate an ancient book and give them justification to feel hatred towards other people. That's
yeah,
the only thing I would try to take away from any religion or any atheistic ideology worldview that might spring up in the past, now, or in the future. If it's gonna cause you to fear something enough to hate it, then I'm going to be against it in whatever ideology it is. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm not saying that you shouldn't fear, because fear is an instinct you should listen to. But once you demagogue or demonize a group, then I have a problem with that, because then you're painting with broad strokes, and so you must recognize that evil exists, that people are bad. But once you start demonizing those groups, which a lot of religions do, unfortunately, um, then that's the only thing I'm going to try to take away from you. You have that freedom, in my opinion, to believe in whatever the hell you want to believe in. Just don't say kill gay people.
and that's not the thing with us. We don't have like in general. Are there pagans that probably don't agree with homosexuality? Probably, sure, but in general, paganism doesn't teach that, and I don't even think Christianity does either. I think it's
Yeah,
it's a personal opinion, but we don't.
I think it's personal opinions,
Yeah,
and they misinterpret it, and they,
exactly.
they take, for one, like I like reading old shit. I've read a lot of Shakespeare. I've read a little bit of Plato and Socrates and people like that. Um, it, those are ancient peoples. Like I'm not going to take their word for it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna more rely on current sources, in my opinion. I just don't get that. Like, love your Bible, fucking take from it the good shit and leave the bad, please, so I can stop debunking all the bad, because guess what, people still believe that shit.
yeah, and that's see, in general, pagans don't have like a central Bible that can be misinterpreted and misconstrued and used to your own thing. When I was initiated into my coven in New Jersey, I was given a book called the Mabinogion, which is a series of Celtic mythology that which I guess stories that pertain to my gods and my pantheon. But I don't take any of that as fact. I know that all of that is mythology, even though it talks about real places. It talks about Scotland and Ireland and certain in Britain and certain spots in certain places. But that doesn't mean that any of that stuff happened. And there's no real misinterpreting any of that. It's not. It's you take the lessons that you take from it, but it's also pagans don't use their paganism to bash other people in the head.
Mm. Well, and like I haven't delved too deep into Ocean's belief systems, but I have seen a little bit where he talks about the historical evidence of his gods, and I that's what I appreciate about Ocean, is he's going to come with fact, and I would say, from the little bit that I watched, that his historical evidence seemed like real historical evidence, to where Christians don't really have all of that, you know. But I do need to delve deeper, and eventually me and him are going to have a talk about what his beliefs are, and go into specifics, because I'm fascinated by it. I have been for probably since my Native American days, and I first found out about, holy shit, there's still pagans in the world. Like,
Yeah, I've had people say, like, when I tell people that I practice, somebody who calls himself a witch is one who practices and studies witchcraft. That's it. There's no great mystery behind it. If you practice witchcraft, then you are a witch, male or female. So when I tell people, when people are like, "Oh, witches are really a thing," I'm like,
yeah,
"Hi, I'm Marty. I'm a witch. Nice to meet you." And I think when people think magic and witchcraft, they're thinking of like movies and Disney cartoons.
yeah.
And it's
They're,
not like that at all.
they're thinking of that story, or that cartoon, or whatever it is, that
Yes.
when they were like 4 or 5 years old and they got really scared, and oh, that, Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the West, that's the witch that it was for me, that, oh, witches are bad, they're the bad guy, and Dorothy's the good guy, you know, and you get that in your head, bad, Satanist bad, and then you become like, oh no, they're not bad. They're actually, most of them are really good fucking human beings,
Yeah.
you know. But it's that mythos in your head, you know.
I think the church probably has a good maybe 90% to do with that, the spreading of that, because if it wasn't seen as something evil and terrible and you're worshiping Satan and you're, you know, then more people would do it and the church would have less power and less people. At least it was back in the day. But the fact that people still cleave to that fear, they're too scared to just even read a book. My girlfriend was too scared to come over to my house and just sit. You can sit in the kitchen. You don't have to participate. Sit and watch. She was too scared of that. Like, honey, what do you think I'm going to do? Like, stop. Read a book other than the Bible and learn some shit.
And because to them, it's almost like, you know, do not worship false gods, do not worship false idols. So they are committing a sin against God by associating with you.
People, yeah, I'm not trying to get people to even convert. Just learn. And and you know, you can say, oh, you know, I hung out at a ritual with my pagan friend, and you know, and maybe it strengthens your faith in your God. Who knows? But if you're so afraid to even like learn, that's a problem. Like that's, I mean, that's kind of scary to me. I don't understand.
I think that's my biggest problem with dogmatic theocracies is it kind of forces their followers to live inside of a box, and you're not allowed to think outside of that box. You know, free yourself, have those thoughts. You know, question everything. I think that's one of the things I like about pagans is it seems that most pagans got to being pagans from asking questions. And
yeah, you literally have to seek and learn and read.
Yeah,
it's not just this book and that's it. It's you never know everything. Like when you know, Christians are like, well, I know what happens when I die. No, you don't. Well, I do. I know. No, you don't. You don't know everything in paganism or even witchcraft, because you're constantly learning, you're constantly evolving. You're taught to question and learn and read and do and seek and this and that. It's almost a requirement. You know, it's not just here's the box and live in the box. It's thinking up, which is I think this is term of lane, but thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
It's required. You have to. Otherwise, there's really no point in even doing the craft, or even just claiming yourself as a pagan. You have to question and learn. I do all the time. I ask myself all the time, why am I pagan? Why does paganism make sense to me? And I'll watch like Christian like debates, and I'll try, and I'm like, no, it's just not for me. I'm good where I am. But a lot of Christians, I'll say a lot of them, not all of them, don't. They're even just too afraid to sit. They'll talk to me all day, but in talking to me, it's trying to convert me. And I'm like, no, talk to me. Ask me what I believe and why, and learn something.
Yeah, and I think they don't like having those conversations, and they try to shy away from them, and then they'll just demonize you and try to stay away from you as much as they can, because those conversations they don't challenge you, but they are invariably going to challenge them.
Right.
And they don't want that, you know.
No, they're not supposed to either. I know one thing that really kind of upsets me: lean not upon your own understanding. I'm like, wow. Like, wow, that's right in your book. That's just telling you not to think. I don't understand that. Like, I don't and you know, maybe some Christians take it differently. Maybe it means this and in a certain context. But I just read that, or I hear that, and I go, oh no, I'm gonna go read some books and learn and think, and I'm gonna, you know. And again, this isn't all Christians. This is like the Matt Powells and maybe the Netflix of the world. You know,
that's one thing that I'm trying really hard to figure out. All right, what's the best way to differentiate the small crop from the larger? And I was on Twitter earlier trying to explain it. You know, not all Christians are bad people. You know, and it's so easy when you're outside of that box to look at them in this big old group and try to. And it's easy because Matt Powell and those types stand at the front. You know, because they're the loudest. So you see those people you got to look beyond those people and realize that the whole is generally just good people trying to live a good life and trying to figure out this world just like we are. The battle is against the fundamentalists, and me myself, I've got to be better at differentiating that. Matt Powell isn't my dad, and my dad doesn't understand me, but he's still a good dude, Matt Powell's not. He's a douche.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and we're gonna end it. Really good conversation. I know Miss Messenger was like, Erla's going to beat your ass down. X informed me that he is responding to Earl on Utah.
I saw
so I am looking forward to seeing that. That's going to be funny. Can't wait for that. And drinking contest tomorrow. Show up for that shit. I'm going to get well rested tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you guys aren't there, be there because you don't know what the hell you're going to miss. It's going to be sloppy ass shit.
I gotta watch both streams. I gotta try. I have a lot of shit to do tomorrow. I have a long day, but I gotta try and get back.
We need to do this again, but next time we'll open it up and we'll have like another different kind of pagan on, and maybe like I don't know, maybe an agnostic on, like different sides of the argument, and then we can all kind of go back and forth on it. But mostly in the interactions, outside of a few interactions I see on Twitter, from what I see, pagans and atheists seem to realize we're allies in the same fight.
We're getting shit from the Christian norm.
Yeah, we're getting the same shit from the same people.
We gotta stick together,
Yeah. Great conversation. I can't wait to watch this one back. Hopefully, I can find time, but in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, you got a long day tomorrow. Make sure you eat before your thing.
Oh yeah, I'm going to. I'm sure messengers and atheists rationales debate will go about 2 hours, so that should give me about 3.5 hours to get well fed and get my daughter, because she'll be back from her friend's house tomorrow, so I'll have her ready to lay down and not be a part of the craziness that's about to ensue.
have a bucket or like your garbage bag nearby, just in case.
I don't puke unless I make myself puke, but we're gonna have bathroom restrictions, so we're talking about all of that right now.
What are the terms for losing? Like, is it whoever passes out first, whoever throws up first?
Well, throwing up is definitely you're out, and we're gonna have to be like on an honest policy, and bathroom breaks, pee breaks are gonna be timed. So yeah, that's gonna be a thing, and and
John Peterson. That's all I gotta say.
And if you deny taking a shot, you're done.
Okay. Well, cameras are gonna be on. Yeah.
Yep. So if you can't take that shot, well, you're done. And I'm going to be saluting a lot.
I don't have to work till 5 on Sunday, so I can sleep it until like noon. And I will fucking sit here and play some video games and watch the shit out of it.
I know the base rule that I agreed to with John, and I did send John's number to Will. John told me to, but the base rule is we're drinking every 10 minutes. So whatever is on top of that, is on top of that. But we got to have at least one shot every 10 minutes. And then we have to answer any salutes.
So if you're sipping on a beer, it doesn't matter. You still have to take a shot.
Yeah, well, I don't think beer, like, I actually bought these as if it goes long enough to where I get through the 5th of Bacardi Gold, then I'll have backup, But I don't think Will's going to last through a 5th. So we're going to see.
Is that a Game of Thrones beer?
Say what?
Is that a Game of Thrones themed beer?
Oh, no. This is Oberon. It's a Michigan thing.
Oh,
they do ship it across the country now. But,
I got happy for a minute. I thought it was some Game of Thrones.
This is you don't want to drink too many of these.
I'm not a beer fan in general. And me and Patron used to hang out, but since I got a little bit older now, where we don't really hang out that much because I just don't think Patron likes me anymore. Or I don't. My body probably doesn't like Patron anymore. But boy, we had some good times. So,
Yeah, Messenger's like 1 shot every 10 minutes will be dangerous at the 90-minute mark. That's only 9 shots, Messenger. You are coming into the ring with a pro.
is he gonna be in 2? Are you drinking too, John?
Yeah, Messenger's it's not too late to back out, Messenger. And we'll see. Like I think we're gonna see how the night goes along. Of course, like well, I'm gonna be yeah, I'm drinking them under the table, and we got to test our livers here. The whole test is the liver. So Will Kincaid, the Messenger, you know, you can bow out. We won't call you a chicken or a coward or any of those things. Chicken or a coward. Chicken.
Hey, said, hey guys, I got a quick question for you. If you wouldn't mind if I asked.
Go real quick because we're getting out of here. I got to go to sleep. So Junk CA, yep, you can ask, but it's got to be real quick. Yeah, yep, that's the whole point. We're getting drunk, Messenger. Come prepared, Christian boy.
You're a big dude too, right? Aren't you like 6'5"?
Yeah, I'm huge. I'm a massive human being. I even tried, like, I gave Will that warning. I'm like, dude, you don't want to do this. I'm like, 2 of you.
Oh God. Yeah, make sure you eat. Have water nearby.
I have a suspicion, and I play with Will, but I have a suspicion that he'll be fueled with cocaine.
Wow.
I kid you, Will. I kid you. I'm going back to my baby manatee video now.
that's healthy. Junk CA, are you asking your question?
Yeah, because we got to go. Assuming you guys are atheists, you believe in the dark. Oh my God! All right, no, I'm sorry, dude. We're not having an evolution theory discussion. I am getting the hell out of here, Marty. I really enjoyed our conversation tonight. Really good conversation.
Thank you so much for having me on. I was nervous. I was like, I've been on. I was telling my D&D group. I'm like, I've hung out on this channel before, but this is different. This is
like, one-on-ones are a little more intimidating.
I know.
You did really good. I can't wait to watch this one back. I think this one was a good one.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I will be there. What time is the thing with Messenger and AR?
3:30 Eastern. Will be Messenger and Atheist Rationale.
I will try my damnedest to be there.
That's going to be a good one, too. I mean, this whole weekend is going to be good.
I know.
It's going to be a good weekend. I'm glad that I was more – because when I was coming to this, I was like, man, I just really want to go to sleep. But it turned out like drinking my tomorrow backup beer turned out to be the right idea.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. You're always welcome here. But we are going to get out of here, so you guys have a good night, and I'm going to see you tomorrow.
Bye. We'll see you tomorrow.